Servers crash. Flights are grounded. Top talent hands in their resignations. Every formal business research project begins in this exact space of crisis, the detection of a measurable gap between how an organization is currently operating and its desired ideal state. Faced with this gap, managers often struggle to distinguish between a surface-level symptom and the underlying structural problem. Attempts to stop high employee turnover by simply raising wages address only the symptom. If the actual issue is a lack of control over daily tasks, the higher salary fails to change the long-term intention to leave. Finding a perfect answer to the wrong problem is useless. Rigorous research requires an accurate diagnosis of the true anomaly. The initial stage of business research is the act of translation, turning a chaotic organizational observation into a precise investigative model. To move from a vague organizational wound to a bounded problem statement, the issue must be pushed through a translation pipeline. The pipeline's entry point requires acknowledging the broad management problem. Next, preliminary research gathers specific contextual factors about the company's history and structural workflow. Finally, querying existing academic literature reveals how similar problems were modeled and solved previously. This systematic filtering process strips away surface symptoms, resulting in an investigative proposal built on structural causes. To bypass managerial instincts and drill down to bedrock reality, researchers use the 5 Whys, a framework developed by Japanese industrialist Sakichi Toyoda. Consider a company experiencing high employee turnover. The immediate assumption is often that employees are leaving for higher pay. Applying the framework, we ask, why are employees leaving? They're unsatisfied. Why? They lack challenge. Why? No control. Why? They lack influence. Finally, the root cause. Management is reluctant to delegate authority. Without this root cause extraction, increasing salaries would only treat the symptom, while the structural failure continued to hemorrhage talent. Once a root cause is identified, transforming it into a researchable topic requires syntactic isolation. This means extracting the specific subjects, verbs, and objects from the initial problem statement. Pinpointing these exact words allows researchers to query academic databases and isolate relevant literature with precision. Take the case of CAA Airlines. Frequent unavoidable flight delays on an aging fleet are causing passenger frustration and switching behavior. The literature offers 2 academic perspectives: operations management for fixing the planes and perception management for subjective experiences. CAA Airlines must discard the operations management approach because achieving 0 defects and acquiring new planes is physically impossible in the short term. Selecting the perception management perspective shifts the research architecture from engineering mechanics to behavioral psychology. The specific academic lens selected dictates the boundaries of the investigation. The precise wording of the finalized problem statement dictates the analytical framework used to solve it. Exploratory research is a flexible, qualitative approach, deployed when variables are unknown and theory is lacking. Assessing the unstudied work ethic values of employees in a newly acquired foreign subsidiary requires an exploratory study to understand the cultural baseline. Descriptive research is used to quantitatively map the characteristics or correlations of a population without attempting to prove a direct cause. Profiling the demographics and occupations of bank loan defaulters to establish eligibility criteria is a purely descriptive exercise. Causal research sets up strict scientific conditions to test if manipulating variable X directly causes a change in variable Y. Mismatching the problem to the protocol, such as using descriptive data to try and prove a causal mechanism, invalidates the corporate strategy. The final output of the translation pipeline is the formalized research proposal. This document contains specific modules: the problem statement, the scope of the study, and the research design. The proposal functions as a binding contract between the sponsor authorizing the study and the researcher executing it. A viable proposal must be relevant to the organization's environment and feasible within the constraints of time and budget. A finalized proposal acts as a safeguard, ensuring expectations are aligned before resources are committed to data collection. Research findings are only as valid as the problem defined at the start of the process. Problem definition requires constant, iterative refinement as preliminary research uncovers new facts. Managers must stay involved with researchers to prevent the project from drifting away from the core organizational reality. Translating a messy symptom into a structured system provides the foundation for corporate strategy driven by evidence rather than reaction.